But first, it was McCain versus Obama on Friday night in Oxford, Mississippi, and this morning it's Schmit versus Axelrod, chief strategists for their respective campaigns. Welcome to Meet the Press, gentlemen.
Thanks,
it's your first joint appearance, I'm told. Very happy to have you here. We're not going to get into this business about who won and who lost the debate because I have a pretty fair idea about what conclusions you would come to. Let's see if we can agree on one thing. The big winner was Ole Miss. They conducted and hosted a very successful debate, and then the rebels went to Florida on Saturday and knocked them off. Now, neither campaign can take credit for the Ole Miss win in Florida at the beginning, if we can at least stipulate that.
Well, I guess we can agree to that.
We can agree to that.
It was a great setting. It was a great debate. Glad that it went forward. Glad you guys came.
They did a tremendous job down there, and Senator McCain was thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to the American people.
All right, let's begin with the news this morning. It looks like they've got an agreement on the bailout program. The outline of it, at least, will have greater details before the end of the day. Is Senator McCain happy with what he's hearing about it?
He's happy that there appears to be a framework completed. Earlier in the week, when Senator McCain came back to Washington, there had been no deal reached. All the financial experts in both parties were saying that this could be an economic catastrophe if by Monday morning, if the markets opened without a deal done. What Senator McCain was able to do was to help bring all of the parties to the table, including the House Republicans, whose votes were needed to pass this. So it appears that great progress has been made. We look forward to, Senator McCain looks forward to reading the fine print of this, but it does appear that great progress has been made overnight.
But has he been making specific suggestions about what needs to be in this bill? When he came back on Friday, the House Republicans said to him, this won't fly because we want an insurance program, not just a buyout.
It does appear that there will be insurance as part of the final package, but importantly, Senator McCain laid out a number of principles, saying, for example, that CEOs cannot benefit from taxpayer dollars, the CEOs of these firms who have ripped off the American people, that there be oversight, that there be accountability. Those principles appear to be contained in the legislation, but what Senator McCain was able to do, the reason he suspended his campaign, the reason he came back to Washington, was to help get all of the parties to the table. There had been announcements by Senate leaders saying that a deal had been reached earlier in the week. There were no votes for that deal. Senator McCain knew time was short, and he came back, he listened, and he helped put together the framework of getting everybody to the table, which was necessary to produce a package to avoid a financial catastrophe for this country.
Mr. Axelrod, I think it's fair to say you have a skeptical expression on your face. Your candidate left Mississippi, however, and resumed campaigning. He didn't come back to Washington. Has his role in this been primarily as a man who's been getting information from Democrats on the Hill?
Well, I'll tell you what his role has been from the beginning. He's been in touch with Secretary Paulson, Chairman Bernanke, the leaders of Congress, and he is the one who's been urging these principles that Steve has now embraced today. The fact is, when this crisis emerged, Senator McCain's first reaction was to say the economy is fundamentally strong. The next day he suggested a commission to study this, and by 8 days later he said it was such a crisis that he was going to suspend his campaign. Showed up a day later in Washington. It isn't clear what his role was, so it's a little bit of fiction to now claim credit for it. That's not the important thing, though. The important thing is that the principles that Senator Obama outlined originally are now embraced, and taxpayers will be protected.
Let me just share with you what the Wall Street Journal had to say about the opening statements of your two candidates at the debate the other night. The debate took place amid the backdrop of the financial crisis, and perhaps most disappointing was how neither man seemed to have anything useful to say about it. What neither man showed was any real insight about our financial market issues or any political courage in offering a solution. Are you going to have to go back and replate your economic program, Mr. Axelrod, going forward because of the change conditions that as a result of this bailout program?
Well, first of all, I don't accept the premise of the Journal piece. The fact is that Senator Obama's been warning for a year and a half about this crisis, about the possibility of such a crisis because of the lack of oversight and greed on Wall Street, and he's been talking to the players from the beginning to try and find a solution that works for taxpayers. In terms of the new president is going to have to deal with the realities of our situation, and this is going to add to the problems that the policies of the Bush administration, supported by Senator McCain, have created huge deficits, unemployment at a 5-year high, wages declining, home values declining. We have a lot of problems in this country. It's going to put pressure on the budget, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions. But the decisions we make ought to prioritize, and this is what Senator Obama said that night, ought to prioritize the middle class. What was phenomenal about that debate was that in 40 minutes on the economy, Senator McCain never once mentioned the middle class, never talked about the struggles people are going through. We need to create an economic recovery plan that puts at its core the middle class in this country.